Did you know that there are over 400 islands in Italy? Well, I live on the second biggest one, Sardinia. And on today's video, I am taking you on a mini tour of the island's second biggest city, Sassari. So come with me for my first tour on foot around the center of the city, Sassari. Hello friends and welcome to my channel. My name is Bianca and I am a solo woman who bought a cheap house on the island of Sardinia, which is where I now live. So before we begin, let me give you a few facts about Italy, the islands, and the cities here. Italy's total population is around 60 million people, which is absurd to me coming from Australia, which only has half of that and is so much bigger. So aside from the 398 other small/tiny islands that can be found around Italy, there are two big Italian islands. One is Sicily and the other is Sardinia. Now, both of these two larger ones are quite similar in physical size. Sicily is clearly the more populated one, and it's slightly bigger than Sardinia, but not by much. They have approximately just under 5 million people. Now, for almost the same physical side, Sardinia has about a third of the population of Sicily, with only around 1.6 million people on this whole island, which honestly I think is still a lot of people for such a small place. So then zooming in even more within Sardinia itself, the people are spread around many of the larger cities, and then they're even scattered into the smaller towns, like where I've chosen to live. So the biggest city is Cagliari. It has around 150,000 people. From where I live in the north, it takes about 2.5 hours to drive to Cagliari. Now, Sassari is both a city and a province. If you search for Sassari on Google Maps, for example, you'll see that it's like this quite a large chunk of the north from where it's located all the way to the west coast. That's just the city itself. And within that space, they say that there are 120,000 people. However, the province itself is spread all the way across the north. So it includes everything from the west to the east, the top down until we hit the next region below, the provinces below. So it really is this really large chunk of the top of Sardinia. So the city that I live in, the province is Sassari, which is written SS. And yeah, my town only has 3,000 people. So there are people obviously that go to the city because that's where you find everything. And then you've got people scattered in all these smaller cities and smaller towns all around. But coming back to Sassari, it's the city that's west of here. So I live in a place called Nulvi, and Nulvi is about 25-minute drive to Sassari by car. And it really is the hub where people go to when they want to shop, when they want to do more things, because there's really not those types of things that you can do in these smaller towns. So I'll take you for a tour around the town one day itself. I haven't quite made it there and had the confidence to film it yet. But, you know, in this town, the sorts of things include a supermarket. There are maybe around 4 or 5, maybe even 6 or 7 small shops that are like small supermarkets where you can get some food, you can get some cleaning stuff, you can just get all of those things that you need if you really need something. Of course, in the town, there are loads of churches. There are several pizzerias. There is a stadium, like a basketball court, outdoor courts, outdoor tennis courts, and a soccer field with the bleachers for people to sit in. There are tabaquerias and bars. There is a small clothing shop that I've never been in. There is a library that I still haven't been in. There is the council building. There is a school. There is a little park for kids to play in. There are several piazzas. There's a cheese factory. There are a couple of pharmacies, small ones. There's a market that happens on a Saturday, and occasionally some little stalls will pop up on a Sunday as well. There is a petrol station. There are a couple of butcher shops. I believe there are two. There is a hairdresser. And I think that just about covers all that you can find in the town. Most of those things are like on the main drag because you literally drive into the town on the main road, go through the main road, and then out. And as you go along that road, you see all the little shops along that street. So yeah, that's a brief overview of what is in the town where I bought my house. And so when people want to do other things, they have to go to the city, right? If you want to go bowling or to the cinema, you have to go to the city. If you want to go shop at Zara or H&M, you have to go to the city. If you want to go to like a Home Depot type store, you have to go to the city. So all of those things you'll find there. And I must say, I so thoroughly enjoyed myself when I went there. I love going to the city. I love cities in general. I lived in Shanghai from 2015 to 2020, and Shanghai has a population of around 30 million, which is the entire population of Australia, which is wild. But I wanted to leave Shanghai at the end because I was like, I need more nature. I need a more quiet place. So from Shanghai, I ended up in my hometown, which was much bigger than here in terms of population, but still a country town. And now I'm in this little place. So one of the things I have really been craving is to go to the city, to be around more people, to be around more sites, to see more things, to see different things. And in case I haven't said it, I don't have a car. And this is the first time I've been in a place without good transportation, because the public transportation is not very good here. It's not very regular. And honestly, I just haven't gone there yet. I don't know if it's that I haven't had the courage to do it. I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, I have not got my butt on a bus and gone into the city. So what I did do is I asked a friend who I know works in the city if she could take me in one morning, and that is what I did. So I hung out for the day, well, up until kind of early afternoon, and then afterwards I connected with her again, and then we did some things, and then we went home. The beautiful thing about Italy, and Sassari is no exception, all of the cities in Italy have a lot of history, and they also have big, beautiful piazzas and old centro storicos, which is like the historical center, which just makes it so incredible to see and walk around and just imagine what it would have been like all that time ago. So my day trip to Sassari will definitely not be my last. I really thoroughly enjoyed it there, and I want to go back more. And I know that as soon as I have the money to buy myself a car, I will be on the road, taking you all along with me for the journey. But until then, I am a little bit restricted in my movements. So you can probably understand why I'm going a little stir crazy at times. But on this particular day, I mostly wandered around the Centro Storico, which was very pretty indeed. I don't know what you're like when you go to cities, but I'm very much a wanderer. My heart will go, "Ooh, look at that over there, go that way." And that's what I do. So I see a little street that intrigues me and I just walk down it and see what's there. And usually you find some really cute little things, some little things that you maybe would not have found if you were just staying in the main areas. Another reason I went to Sassari is because I wanted to go see a chiropractor. And I actually met this really cool guy and girl who have a chiropractic clinic in Sassari called Om Sagro. And the people whose business it belongs to are really cool people that I happened to meet when I was in Les Roues the other weekend when I did yoga and ziplining up on that rock. I made a video about it, so check it out if you haven't already. Now, of course, I didn't film that. That was a personal experience. So the things you'll be seeing today are just my little wanders around the city and what I saw inside and outside of some buildings. So I do hope you enjoy my little snippets of Sassari, and when I go back there, when I finally purchase a car, no, I'll probably go back there before I get a car, but I will definitely be visiting more often. But speaking of buying things, I wanted to let you know, if you would like to support me on my journey here in Sardinia, I would really appreciate the help. You'll find a link on my profile or also below this video to a little account that I opened called Buy Me a Coffee. Except I don't drink coffee, which is weird because I live in Italy, but I do drink wine. So if you would like to buy me a wine, I would really appreciate that. I would also love to give a shout out to Barbara. Barbara was the first person who bought me a wine. In fact, she bought me 5 wines. So not only am I very drunk, thank you, Barbara, I really do appreciate your absolute kindness and generosity. And I promise you, all of the money that I receive is going towards my house. It's going into a little fund and I will save it up and it will all go back into this house. We'll just pretend that I'm buying wine with it, but I actually won't be. Really, really appreciate it. Okay, so enjoy Sassari, everyone. And let me know anything else you would like to see or learn about my life here in Sardinia. Oh, and if you're wondering about the backdrop, I think people had had enough of the green, so I'm just changing it up a little with this fake backdrop back here. All right, take care. Much love. Ciao. My day in Sassari really was just the opportunity for me to wander and check out beautiful buildings like this. As I continued to walk, you can see the little blue pole there. The Candellieri reference. They have Candellieri also in Sassari. It was around 8:30 at this time, so people are just heading off to work, and I was just wandering, waiting for things to open, seeing the beauty on the street, like these olive trees. So I believe this building is actually an art gallery, which I only found out after the fact, because I was headed to the Piazza at the end of the road there, Piazza d'Italia, which is where I am now. But I should go back and check out that art gallery. Beautiful morning, blue skies, nice and warm. There's a group of school kids here to see whatever display they had there. The police putting something on. The piazza is really cool because you can drive all around the square in the center. That big building there, this one here, this is Palazzo, a palace of some description, but it's temporarily closed to my knowledge. You've got this big statue in the middle. This is where the Centro Storico starts. You can see all the big buildings. They're all like banks, but there are also some restaurants and cafes in some of them. I love how they have paved the streets. I don't know if it's by accident or intentional, but they have these crisscross stones and then these pebbles, and yeah, it's all a mix of stuff. I really think it's quite fun. It's almost like it's the driveway down the little streets. And these are some of the little streets that I just wandered down in the Centro Storico. This quote here says, "Only a dead fish follows the current." A random little side street that I walked down because it looked so pretty and I could see there was a little piazza at the end or something. So as you do, you follow your instincts and you find something really quaint in the middle of the city, a little bit of quiet peace where people live. Every day you open your front door into this cute little piazza and off you go to work. This is a little co-working space slash bar slash cafe slash shop that I stumbled upon, which is really cute. I could see myself coming downtown just to hang out for a bit in places like these. Of course, I didn't go inside the film. Probably the smallest car I've ever seen. I kind of want one. Here I was standing, taking this video, and had I just stepped a couple of steps further, I would have been filming this. Epic, random, and cool. There's a fair bit of graffiti on the walls in Sassari, but nothing that is like super artistic. I think it'd be really cool if the graffiti artists actually were tasked to make murals. I think all good cities have great murals. Having bought a cheap house, when you look around places like these and you see, for sale signs on the buildings and you see some really old buildings, like this one here. I wonder if they are like €1 houses for sale. It'd be cool to do something like that up and just live right in the middle of it all. A fair few things have closed down. I wonder if it's natural for that to happen here or if it's part of what happened during 2020 onwards. More little piazzas. I love a piazza. Seriously cute. Great places to hang out. What I really like though is how they put the roads around the piazzas. These streets, I just love them. The stones, the little bit for the cars to move down. Little tunnels, look at that little tunnel. You're telling me a car can get through there? Well, I guess that's why you need that tiny little smart car. The beautiful colors. Honestly, to me, it doesn't feel like Italy so much. I'm not sure what it's reminding me of, if it's somewhere else in Europe. I think this would be a hive of activity in the evenings. I don't know what happens in the winter if people keep going out. I must say, I love wandering because you get to see where people live. You get to see what it's like. You get to hear people living where they're living. And for me, that's really interesting. And here we have the Palazzo Ducale, the Duke's Palace, or the Ducal Palace. I went in there afterwards. I walked past because I actually didn't know what it was. Walked straight past, was headed to the Duomo, the cathedral, that bell tower you can see there. I wasn't really looking for anything. I was just kind of looking to be in the Centro Storico and just see what I found as I wandered around. This street here was so narrow, I Couldn't believe that cars, like vans, were getting through. As always, you know me. I love to stop and say hi to the kitties. This one didn't really want much to do with me though, so. This little garden was so pretty. I love those creepers that grow over the sides of the buildings. The bell tower was right underneath. This is the Duomo. The Duomo is also called the Cattedrale di San Nicola, the Cathedral of Saint Nicholas. The side of the cathedral. You can see the entrance for guests just back there, up the stairs. And then I went around to the front to see the view from the front. They had little bird houses here, which is really cool. So the cathedral is obviously a Roman Catholic cathedral, and it was built in the 12th century, a Romanesque style. But this present building also includes Gothic, Renaissance, Baroque, and Neoclassical elements. The construction was finished in the 18th century. I'll see if I can find some pictures online and share what the inside looked like. Check out these ceilings, they're so beautiful and really super low. This was the first part of the tour into the Ducal Palace, where the Duke lived. She walked me through this section, I think because it was giving information, and she knew I spoke English, so she thought it would be easier for me to read the details here. But if I'm honest, when it comes to taking a tour, I prefer seeing things in person and hearing someone tell me a story. So here we're going through the cantina, where they stored wine and food and that sort of a thing, because it's underground, it's cold, and it was so cool. I really loved going through this space. There would have been a floor on this previously. Now they've just got this kind of metal walkway that you can walk along and see what was there. So there were all these little spaces where wine was kept and food was kept. I guess anything that needed to be preserved could be put in here. So beautiful, made of this stone. It's cool to imagine how people used to live and what their setup was like. And when I saw this, I was wondering, like, what is the house going to be like? Unfortunately, I got to go in the house as well, so I got to see what these noble people, these noble families got to experience in terms of the comforts of their home. So after seeing the cantina, that's what we did. We went into the home, the palace, where the Duke and family lived. Firstly, we walked into this space. This is a beautiful courtyard, no ceiling, no roof, and she told me that the women weren't allowed to leave the house, so they used to use this space a lot because they weren't allowed to go outside. And today, this space is used for wedding receptions and parties and things like that. So on the upper levels, there was all of the space where people would spend all of their time, entertain, hang out, and then I believe up at the upper level were bedrooms and guest rooms and things like that. There is also a rooftop, which would be really cool to see. They don't let you go up there, and apparently there is this really tiny little staircase to get up there. These are the beautiful marble staircases to go up to the first floor, as well as these plaques that I was encouraged to take a photo of. So they must be significant. They must be like a family emblem or something. We're up on the first floor now, and this was described to me as a room where they would kind of first enter the house and bring maybe guests and just have meetings and gatherings here. You'll see that there are 4 vases in the room, Chinese vases, and this shows the connection between China and Italy from way back during this time. These would have been gifts from China. Here we are in the dining room. I think their dining table may have had to have been a little bigger than that, but what dining room is complete without a self-portrait? Stunning. So here we have a display box of the candelieri that they have in Sassari. And while they're much smaller than the ones from Novi, they have 11 of them because they have way more gilds to represent. The lower grey part you see on the ceiling, as well as that circular piece in the center, they are both original. Everything else has been added or upgraded later. This room was the smoking room. From the smoking room, you head down this beautiful hallway and you reach the ballroom. You can see how they were able to look out over the courtyard from this floor. Here we are in the ballroom. You have to imagine this room without any tables and chairs, just a big open space. And down the end, there was a band on a small stage. And this is where people would come when they had parties to dance. Now it's used for the council offices, so they have weekly meetings in this room. And this originally was a chapel, but is now a council office. On the way out, I asked to use the facilities, and when I came out, this is what I saw. Look at those incredible ceilings and that beautiful stonework. Somewhere around lunchtime, I decided to stop at this place, Greenland, which I have actually been to once before. I found it when I was looking on Google for health food shops in Sassari. Now there's only this one choice here in Sassari that I'm aware of, and it is very vegan oriented, and I'm not vegan, but they do make some really nice bowls of food that you can eat, and the smoothie that I had, even though it was vegan protein, it wasn't too bad. Next stop, chiropractor. I took my smoothie and searched Google Maps for the location, and off I went. And it turned out that I actually had to backtrack to Piazza d'Italia and then continue on up a street called Via Roma. And I'm really glad that I got to walk up this beautiful street because there were some absolutely gorgeous buildings. The pink building I love, but I have no idea if it's anything. This gorgeous building is a government building. This one is a community college. I don't know how the heck I managed to miss the gelateria, but I guess I was en route to the chiropractor, so that was my priority. And to end the day, my friend and I walked through this beautiful park, Parco di Monserrato, or Monserrato Park. Although many cities have beautiful parks, I come from Victoria and Melbourne is full of gorgeous parks. One thing that this has that is unique is a lot of history. This, I believe, was built from the 17th century until the 20th century, which means it's evolved a lot over that time. It used to be more like farmland, and then it was created into a garden. And so the structures here are really quite spectacular. You've got this, again, stonework. I believe there is some sort of aqueduct system underneath that sends the water to all the different ponds within the park. I'm not sure if it goes beyond that or if it was just set up that way to be able to provide water to the whole garden. There are lots of really beautiful trees here, and there are also fruit trees, and I think that is spectacular. And I think that parks should always have fruit trees so that people can consume the fruit when it's ripe. There is these beautiful little paths. You can walk around the park via these beautiful paths. Here's another beautiful old pond that has almost like a balcony over the park. And right behind this particular pond is this gorgeous tower. Not the sort of things you find in parks typically. So it's really cool that you can go into this park and you can see all of this really ancient history in this beautiful green setting. So I really do recommend coming to the park and checking it out. It would be great on a day when it's warm, and it was warm on this day, and you can sit on the grass, maybe take a picnic and just relax. Just take some time out from your day and sit in nature. Even though on the border, on the very edge of the park is a freeway. It's always important to be able to find a little bit of peace and quiet when you live in a city. And that's what you can find in a place like this. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed seeing a part of Sassari that I loved, and I'll see you all again soon.